What is up, y'all? My name is Mary Murphy, and we are here live at Eastside Studios in downtown Austin. We're here to celebrate. Hey! We're here to celebrate the second round of your NFT releases, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we got five more that dropped today.
Yeah.
Cool. If you haven't already, we dropped some last week. They dropped at 12 p.m. today. If you're watching this tomorrow, it's yesterday. You know the vibes. 5 more pieces of art. Only 20 prints available for each one and one original, right?
Yep, exactly.
Hell yeah. How'd they moving?
They're going great. We've sold, I want to say it's 5 so far.
Ooh, okay.
So, yeah.
Honestly, and then once they're out. There's gonna be no more. There's gonna be another round next week of different art. But for this, you gotta hop on it. If you haven't been able to yet, you gotta go check out nfts.richesart.com. It's the only way you're gonna be able to have access to it. Shout out to Mission Labs for managing the entire NFT minting process. They've been incredible to work with. Lovely.
Also, the special thing about these NFTs too is that they come with a tangible piece of art. So you buy the original animation, you get the original watercolor painting of mine. If you buy a print version, you get a metal print. So
awesome.
They're tangible.
Hell yeah, love that. So of course, if you're here, you know Rich. We have some special guests with us today. We got Fig and we got Yosh over here. How y'all feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Woo, so happy to have y'all here. So if you missed last week, basically over the next 3 weeks, we're going to be bringing in different panelists to talk about the different themes of Rich's art, which have spanned a variety of topics. Last week, it was freedom and exploration. We got to know Rich. We got to know your background, how you started doing art. We brought his old roommates in. We explored. We were free to explore. We learned that Rich likes to wear a Spider-Man costume in sex sometimes.
It's all about the character. You gotta own it.
We got some dirt, so you don't want to miss out on that. We're gonna have it up on YouTube soon. And then this week, it's all about confidence and vulnerability. So we're really gonna be diving into just what's that like. So excited to have y'all here. We'll just dive in. I would love to get to know. We'll start with you, Yosh. A little background on who you are, how you know Rich. What's up?
Absolutely. Yeah. So came from a little small town. Foster, Rhode Island, F-Town.
Roadie.
Oh, yeah. But I met Rich playing overseas in Germany. Got out of college, played some football, got the chance to go play overseas. And then, man, I was honestly so sick of going home just for the winter months because our off season is from October to April. And if you've ever been to Rhode Island at that time, it's absolutely miserable.
I don't do the snow. I'm a gremlin in the snow.
Right. So
you can do this heat, but that cold,
right,
different animal.
So I was sitting there, and we came down. The Pats played the Falcons in the Super Bowl in Houston. So I came down, checked out the NFL experience. I was like, okay, Texas is pretty dope. H-Town, okay. And then the next off season, I said, man, I'll go try Texas for 6 months. And I came down here. I slept on Rich's couch. I got a job at a local gym, and we just made it work. Yep. But that's how I got to know him. And coming back from his art, I look back six years, and he was painting this one galaxy painting 100 times, but he was perfecting it. And he was like, man, I want to be able to make this so good and so fast that my production goes up. And then you look at that compared to where it is now, dropping NFTs, putting out the realism that some of his artwork comes out. It's gross.
Killing it.
Incredible.
Killing it. I love it. I love that you've seen that journey too.
Yeah.
So y'all know each other. Fig, I know you because I took one of your dance classes.
Yes.
Incredible choreographer, all the things.
You.
Yeah, give me a little background, who you are, what you do.
So I am a pastor's kid from Waco, Texas.
Yeehaw.
And I've been in Austin. That's right. Bless up, bless up. I've been in Austin about 7 years. I started as a stylist and really struggled just making money and didn't enjoy it. And so I danced growing up and really wanted to dive back into that, but needed the money to train. So I started stripping and have just I started training. Now I'm a choreographer. I'm a burlesque performer. I dance here in Austin full time. So yeah, just
love it.
Doing all
a mogul now.
That's right. Just moving my body all the time.
Building her damn empire, baby. Yeah. So like I mentioned, the theme of this week is confidence and vulnerability. And Rich, I would love to hear from you because these themes are explored so deeply in the art that you've released this week and throughout the entire series. I would love to hear from you. What does confidence mean to you? What does vulnerability mean to you, and how is that affected in your art?
I think these two terms are extremely important. Probably some of the more important ones of this entire series, just because the growth that comes with both of them. As a human, your sexual experience, everything, they run hand in hand, in my opinion. I think the truest confidence is quiet confidence. You know, loud confidence, I feel like, is a defense mechanism. It's kind of fake. And I think when you learn to be vulnerable about who you are as a person, about yourself, realizing this is what I bring to the table. I'm flawed, or I'm human, even better. I'm human, and this is what it is. I think you learn to be, that's the truest form of confidence. You know what I mean?
It's almost like you feel like you need vulnerability in order to exhibit true confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it's also like finding your true self, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you could sit here and try and be what other people are. Like, you try and, as an athlete, right? You try and live up to coach's expectations. And the coach thinks you do well, and then he puts you on the field. Yeah. And when you find out just what you want truly as a person, like, you don't have to worry about what everybody else likes or what they want. You're like, no, I'm just doing me. I'm on this
people
journey.
feel that. There's definitely a different level of, like, when you're convincing yourself you're confident versus, like, it comes from just, like, a place of exuding. It comes from inside versus outside in. I have noticed, though, like, as a woman particularly, sometimes, like, I feel like confidence is celebrated up to a certain point. Like, there's a fine line between what others determine as confidence versus cockiness. Yeah. And for me, it's like, it's always just, it seems like it's in the eyes of, like, their own perception of themselves and their own comfortability with their own selves. It has nothing to do with how I'm actually coming out. And so I would be curious, it's like their own insecurities, really. Yeah. So I'd be curious, Fig, like, have you had that experience where you feel like you've been too much, too confident, or someone's given you that feedback before? Because I fucking have. And I'm like, back the fuck up.
Yeah. I actually really struggled with that when I started stripping. There's, like, a certain point when you're performing for people where confidence becomes intimidating for them. And so it's kind of navigating how you can make people comfortable within how good you feel about yourself. I think, like, especially, like, constantly selling a fantasy to people is, like, you can't be too confident in who you are. Like, you have to kind of tailor yourself to that. And so it was really interesting. I had a lot of people tell me that I looked really stuck up, or that I was, like, I just walked too tall for the strip club. And I had to, like, really lower myself and kind of, like, I have to smile. I have to keep a smile on my face because smiles do so much for people. They really bring people home.
I mean, what a level of, like, emotional perception that you have to have, though. Like, you really have to be able to read a room and be like, okay, this is how this person can receive it. This person won't receive it that well, but that requires such emotional intelligence.
Were you feeling it more from, like, other strippers, or were you feeling it from, like, the people that were coming to the club?
It really didn't matter what the strippers thought because they're not paying me.
Let's go. There's that confidence.
I don't care.
And I'm confident again, just to let you know.
Everyone's very kind, but, it really doesn't matter what they think at the end of the day. I think it was really hard to hear from people who they always talked about me in a way of admiration, but they never gave me their money because they were afraid of me. Ooh. And that was really frustrating. So, like, kind of coming over that hump was like, okay, how can I, like, bring myself down to these men and make them feel comfortable? And I think, like, even when you want to make friends in a co-working space, I think you have to do that. I had to do that with the strippers as well, like, keeping that smile on my face, open doors for people to be like, oh, yeah, like, she may be confident, but, like, it's fine,
Totally. Yosh, I'd be curious, like, what the hell do you think is going through someone's mind when someone's too confident? Like, what is that?
So I guess when somebody's, like, too confident.
When they're thinking someone's too confident.
Okay, so, like
if you were like, oh, they're too confident.
Like, that guy's, like.
Yeah.
This comes from one of the most confident people I know.
Then you've experienced
it. No doubt. My biggest thing, I think he's trying to just impress other people, right? When you come off overly confidently and there's too many, like, gaps, right? Like, if I see you in this setting and you're this person and then next week I see you in this setting and you're like a complete different animal. Yeah. Now I'm like, whoa,
that's
man.
not
like,
real confidence.
Right. I'm just like, you're just trying to put on a show for whoever you're around. Yeah. And you can only put on so many masks until but you find a close group of people that you can open up, take the mask off. That's the start of finding true confidence.
Yeah, confidence is really teamwork.
Right.
You know?
I love it. Have you ever felt like you've been criticized of being too confident?
Yes, no doubt. No doubt.
In what scenarios?
But I've also gone through the journey of like...
Directions.
Yes. I walk at one pace.
He walks so confident everywhere he goes. And he has no idea where he's going.
I love that.
Never. But people follow him because he's walking so confident. People follow him, and I had to realize that after a while because we got lost like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, bro, where are we going? Like, I have no clue.
Rich walks Texas speed, right?
Yeah.
So like in the Texas heat, I've learned to walk slower. You just start sweating.
Yeah,
you go wear out.
Yeah, you do. You gotta.
Rich walks at speed the whole time. Unless he forgets his phone on the bus, and then he's got to go run, right? But like he just. For me, I'm like, I'm one speed. I'm just like, I'm just like, man, I want to get where I'm going.
But then people follow you, and it's interesting though, because it's like when you are that confident, people just inherently are like, oh, they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? And I feel like that can tie back to especially like you've represented so many confident women in your art, and it's like it inspires you to like, okay, I'm gonna follow you now. I'm gonna do what you're doing, and so I'm sure that you had experiences where you're like, okay, shit, we're doing this now.
Some of my favorite experiences is a woman that shows me what she likes, or it doesn't have to be a sexual experience at all. It could be we could be out on a date, or we could just be learning about each other. But a woman that can direct you and communicate effectively what she likes and what she wants. That's
communications right ahead. That's
the mutual benefit.
Yosh, has Rich always been this confident, or what's up?
Yeah, so I got a great story about Rich, man. So nicknames were a thing on Facebook for a while, right?
Oh gosh,
I don't know if it's still there or not.
Nah, I took it off. I took the football nickname off.
But so first got signed overseas. They're like, hey, this is going to be your teammate. This is going to be the guy you're living with. And I'm like, okay. So I show up. And I look him up on Facebook, and he Facebook requests me, and I'm like, Richard Sweetfeet Samuel. And I'm like, oh, man. This guy's already got his own nickname, bro. I was like...
What was that nickname?
Sweetfeet.
Sweetfeet.
Yes,
oh,
it is.
Wow.
I love
In
that.
German, it was Sisyphus.
Yeah.
Sisyphus.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny that it rhymes both ways. Yeah. So it's stuck. But so I'm sitting there, man, and I'm like, fuck, all right, man. So I go in, I'm like, hey, man, totally open, like, want to be a great teammate. Hope you're really good. I said, but I am not calling you Sweetfeet until I see you earn it. And his response was spot on. He goes, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Ooh.
Just dropped it just like that. And I was like, all right, let's see. And it probably took me about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I was like, all right, what's up, Sweetfeet? How you doing, man?
Wow.
So.
Love it. Hell yeah. Would you say that you've always had like an exuded confidence? Like that's something that you've had since you were a little fig, or something that you felt like you really had to learn?
I'd honestly say that it's an ebb and flow with confidence. I was thinking about this a lot, and like I was thinking about like when I felt like my worst. And I think at that time I was surrounded by like people I didn't really feel truly believed in me. Like there wasn't this like strong confidence in the people around me. And I think that led me to like really doubt myself. And I was always looking to find, well, how do they want to see me? And I was always really struggling with that. And I think once I dropped that and I was like, okay, so how do I want to see me? Ooh, yeah. I think that was like a really big thing. And then I found my community, and I think they helped me build confidence, because I think community really builds confidence. And like the people that you were with, like it matters.
Yeah.
It's crazy that that entire group that you were hanging out with was probably searching just like you were searching.
Yeah. It's
everybody
really cool.
had a facade on, and then, that can damage your own mental.
It really, I mean, you are who you hang out with, like 100%.
You are.
It's
whether you like it or
inevitable.
not.
Straight up.
The things that we talk about, the things that we do. I remember I was hanging out with somebody who was always very sketched out about people. He just like couldn't really he always thought that people were kind of after him or like wanted to steal his cool. And I remember it really
if it could be
fucked with my
stolen, it
mental.
ain't cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I was just like, what yeah, we could all communally be really fucking dope. Like, that would make us even cooler if we all got along and, you know, like, it would be really hot as a group.
So if we were to take that community vibe and apply it, because it goes straight into relationships, like a partner that can help
Completely.
with that type of confidence.
Raise you up versus
Exactly.
like bringing you down and dragging you down. It really is an energetic thing.
It is.
And especially for you with choreography, Fig, like, I mean, it requires on the health of the entirety of the group to really build each other up and to create like something that's next level. And so are you having to teach this sometimes? Like, how do you kind of exude that and bring everyone to that level?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there's a point where, like, you can't teach that to people. I think they have to see it. And I think when I first started teaching, I, like, really tried. I would, like, talk a lot in my classes. And I think my best form of communication is with my body. And I think my students can see that. And I think, yeah. And so just, like, sharing that with them and us, like, getting in tune with our body is, like, that's a way of teaching it, is just being surrounded by it, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of letting your expression go, and like it can be like if you're just verbal, like all they see is like it's supposed to be done this way, one way, and that's it. And then when you just like express, like you might screw up, but like eventually you'll pick back up and you'll have some fun along the way. So
and just expressing that, like, my thing is not going to be your thing, or like what feels good in my body may not feel good in your body. And I think it's so important that everyone knows, like, when they step into spaces of movement, that you're not all going to look the same. And finding confidence in the fact that you might mess up and that you might struggle is really important, especially to grow in that. Because if you're just constantly worried about how you look or how you feel messing up,
Totally.
you crash.
I mean, the fear can just be absolutely inhibiting. And
completely.
then you'll never put yourself out there. But so much of, I mean, that's why we wanted to pair confidence and vulnerability together this week.
Go hand in
because
hand.
you need to be willing to fuck up and to be vulnerable and to learn. Like, and without it, you don't really truly learn what like embodied confidence feels like.
a person that hasn't failed will always
Don't
lack
listen to
confidence.
people.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
They don't know what it feels like. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. And especially like doing it in front of people you admire or like you care about. Like failing is never comfortable. But it always feels good to know what it feels like. You know? I think it's really important.
It's funny, like the 4 times you fail, like you never know like when the step over the mountain is, right? So like you one day at a time, you keep stepping forward, and you're trying new things, and you might be failing and falling back a couple steps, but if you keep moving, eventually you get there. And then when you get there, you know, everybody sees the success, and everybody's like, I can't be that guy, you know? But they don't know the journey that it takes to be that guy, to make the decisions, to put yourself out there. And then that comes off if they haven't face that failure, then they won't have the confidence to know that they make it.
Yeah. Do you feel like humility is important, like with confidence? Because I have trouble, like sometimes, again, like kind of going back to the statement that I had before, where there's like a fine line between confidence and cockiness, and a lot of times it has to deal with the own person's insecurity interpreting it. And I'm like, do you need to be humble to be confident? Or I'm just curious about y'all's thoughts on that. Like,
humility, humbleness. I think that's key in turning the corner for like true confidence, because you're not scared to let somebody see you in your true light, because you know what you bring to the table. You know what I mean? So that's that humility that's tied into it.
yeah, like you're able to share a part of your story in a way that other people can identify with. It's like, it wasn't easy. I failed so many times. And that's just as important part of your identity.
I think that's how you find the people. So like being humble and knowing what you add to the table, but then also accepting that I don't know everything. And this
And
guy,
you're helping
I can,
other people
and
get
I can,
up,
and
you
I
know?
can learn from absolutely everybody. There is something that each and every single one of you can teach me.
Always.
Yeah.
So as long as you're open to listening, right, that's only gonna grow together.
And
I can
knowing
bring
that,
this.
like knowing that you could learn something from everyone is an extremely important sexual lesson to learn.
Yeah, you're never going to be the best at something to someone, especially when it comes to sexual.
Well, and alchemy is such a huge part of it too. Like, you might have incredible sexual confidence in one pairing, and then the other you're like, what the fuck is happening? You know, like I'm
so
like
weird.
a brick right now. And a lot of times it has to do with, feeling safe and held or whatever, whatever that is for different people. But yeah, it just really depends. And so again, it comes back to like finding your people, finding like what works for you.
Thanks.
Rich, you had said something when we were originally discussing these themes that had stuck with me, and that is sexual self-expression without boundaries and communication can be harmful to others. Sexual confidence must come with compassion. I love that. We're putting it on T-shirts.
That's right. Good shirt.
Have you ever been in a situation in which someone has crossed a boundary, or you felt like you really needed to kind of tone back and reevaluate in order to accommodate someone's comfort level?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes back to that humility. You know what I'm saying? Being able to tell yourself that maybe you're coming on too strong, or you haven't communicated, or communication. We talked about that all last week. That's extremely important. It ties into my art a lot, actually, because a lot of the art, or just art in general, is imperfect, especially my style. And I have no formal training whatsoever. And so when I first started painting, you're chasing art styles like most artists do. And you start to get frustrated, or you don't judge your stuff how you should judge it because you see every mistake. But it's not until you fall in love with those mistakes that you kind of turns the knob for it. I tell artists that all the time: learn to love your own mistakes. And it comes back to that in, sexual, like learn to be humility and be able to admit when you're not perfect or you're not doing something right, and ask the questions, you know what I mean? And that's extremely important.
So that's why I kept hearing the German over in Germany. 999. I don't know what that sound was.
I cannot. All right. So, I mean, we talked about the vulnerabilities level and that. You have said that you felt most confident women that you know are sexually confident through self-pleasure.
Yeah.
Fig, do you feel like you're able to show up better in sexual encounters because of the work that you've done, like getting to know yourself and what works for you?
Yeah, I'd say that, like, I know it keeps coming back to my work, but dang, it was like I had to learn a lot of boundaries to know what I wanted and didn't want within such a physical form of work. And I think it definitely helped me learn how I wanted to talk about the boundaries within my work, so I could then talk about the boundaries within my personal life with people. And I think that was such a beautiful, it's been a long journey. I think communication is so hard, and I didn't learn very good, like heat of the moment forms of communication. I really struggled with that growing up, and I used to get really heated. And I think dancing really taught me how to be like, this isn't working. That's a big no, with a damn smile on my face. And then also learning how to like let people down easy is really important. And so I think that translates into so many things, into teaching people, into starting sexual relationships, into starting friendships. Like it's helped me so much.
I bet. I mean, daily you're having to teach people how they can communicate and interact with you.
And like personal patience.
Oh, wow, I bet.
And yeah, it's been really special to learn how to talk about those physical boundaries, so I could then like come and talk to like people I care about. It's nice.
And if you ever feel bad, just remember there's women in mass that are like, oh yeah, you fucking like that.
Oh my God.
So I think, don't worry.
Hopefully
We love
communication's a little
the
bit
mass
better.
holes.
Don't
We
worry.
really fucking do, man. The mass
Let me know
holes
how I
got
get
it.
the accent.
All right, yo. Well, with you then, you're in a long-term relationship, right? Like you've been seeing someone for a bit.
Yeah, I've been with my girl Jazz now for about 2.5 years.
I love it. Congrats. Shout out Jazz. you
Yep.
said? All right. How have you had to incorporate vulnerability and communication in order to bring you guys closer sexually? Like, what does that look like in your relationship?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really just we have super clear lines of communication, and we think we do a really good job of separating work life, sexual life, and then also you look at friends or other aspects of your life. It's almost like we've separated them. So like when we're focused on this, when we're 100% in this moment, we're here. The moment work's over, when we're decompressing, we're focused on each other. And then once we've spent enough time with each other, now we're like, okay, we have some extra time. Like, let's interact with our friends at this location. Let's interact with our friends. But we're always very open with our communication, putting ourselves first, and then being very open. Like, sometimes you're tired, right? And you're coming home, and you're like, man, get off me, right? Right? She gives me the look, and she's like, I will kill you if you try something. I'm like, all right,
Slit your fucking balls
pretty
off.
soft,
Yeah, done.
But then there's also times where, I come home and she's dressed in lingerie and she's got Rihanna's new line and
Ooh, Fenty, baby.
Yeah,
Let's
she
go.
can buy as much of that as she wants. I'm okay with that kind of shopping, but like keeping that fresh, keeping
Shout out
that
to
excited. Yeah, way to go, Ree.
No, we love you.
But
Sponsor us.
having that and making it a purpose. You know what I mean? Like making it a point that you don't let things get lazy because it's so easy to fall into a routine.
Especially it's like when you've been with someone, longer than the honeymoon phase. After that, it's like you really have to work at it. And I'm sure like it's changed over the years for y'all. It takes so much communication. I mean, again, communication is going to keep coming up throughout all of this because it's just the framework. It's the
100%.
the baseline for all experiences, truly.
Yeah.
Right.
Amazing. Would you consider yourself a vulnerable person?
To certain people,
Yeah.
yes.
You need to feel safe.
I think
to
he's
do so?
learned to be more vulnerable
Yeah.
since I've known him. 100%. I wouldn't say I think. I know he's learned to be more vulnerable.
Yeah. I've learned to trust. I trust more people now than I did 7 years ago. No doubt.
What does it take in order
close.
for you to feel safe, to feel vulnerable?
So I feel vulnerable when you hear things through the grapevine.
Yeah.
Right. And my college coach was the best at this. And he said, if you do something and you don't think I'm going to like it, I better hear it from you first. Right. But owning up to it made things 10 times easier. Right. Yeah. There's consequences still might be consequences, but they're going to be a lot lighter if I hear it from you than if I hear it from somebody else. And I really take that into an approach with my friends. Right. Or people that are close to me. Like, especially with me and Jazz, we don't talk shit about each other, right?
Wow.
Like, we need to be so strong on our front that if anybody tried to separate us, right, it'd be like, these people are fucked up, And it's the same way with, like, friends. Like, I trust Rich, and Rich called me up anything, no doubt, I'm there. And it's the same way. It's never a thing of how much time goes by. It's like, hey, man, I need this. Can you help? And if you can, great. If you can, I understand. Like, it's not like but growing and having an adult relationships can lead to more vulnerability, letting people in more.
It's so important. Honestly, like, it takes so much for certain, and depending on your background and what you've been through, right, in order to be able to open up and be vulnerable. And it's at times you feel like, oh, well, like if I am vulnerable, then I'm not coming across in this way that's like strong. But it's the strongest people are sometimes the most vulnerable. It's so important. Do you feel like it takes a lot for you to be vulnerable with someone, Fig, or is it something that you immediately will be able to give people?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I just think that it's important to be vulnerable without fear. I think that, like, if I was always constantly deciding if this person was worthy enough for me to tear down my walls, like, when would it be the time?
Totally.
And what would be the deciding factor? And I enjoy people so much more fully than I ever did when I was worried about, well, if I give them this, will I get it back?
Yeah.
And once you stop asking for something back, things change.
Expectations are a tough thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think I'm allowing myself to be really vulnerable on all fronts. I think, like, I have a career that is designed to be incredibly vulnerable. And I really just want to take that in all aspects of my life,
I get that. There was a time when I felt like, even with like the love that I give, I'm like, oh, is this too much? Am I giving? Is it? But it's like you find the right people who meet you where you're at, and if it's not that person, bye.
And at least you cared.
Literally.
Like getting to know people is so cool.
Yeah.
Like
love
people
it.
are really
Yeah.
amazing.
I know.
And
I love
it's you're doing yourself a disservice if you do not explore them. If your fear cuts you off from that is
That's on
such a
you.
fucking shame.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. It's such a bummer, but you can't convince someone to do that. It has to come from themselves,
It
and it
does.
has to like come from their own volition, because it's draining. Sometimes you try and give so much of yourself and your own light so someone else can experience what you're feeling, and it just you can't. Like I think you get older and you learn like
That's
When
why
to cut
we keep
people off
spreading the
is-
game called What Are the Odds?
yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever heard of that game?
Oh wait, is that the one where it's like over under?
No. So like
That's another one.
basically it's like a
Yeah,
dare,
that's
right?
another one.
So I'm gonna dare you to do something, and
Yeah.
we do this in bars all the time in Austin, right? So if like anybody randomly comes and grabs a hat, like my bad.
Yeah.
But you just want to do something awkward, like get something out of their comfort
Break the
zone.
ice.
Keep them from
Let
holding up
people
keep
be
them from holding
vulnerable.
the rail. Right.
Right?
So like we'd sit there and be like, all right, what are the odds? You know, you go rocks, paper, scissors, shoot that girl, and the winner has to buy the loser the drink. And the riskier the odds, or the less you want to do it, the higher you would set the odds. Right? So if I had to go run down 6th Street naked, you're probably looking at one out of a couple thousand, right?
Yeah,
I'm not
you know
going to
what
do
I mean?
that. Right?
All right, so what are the odds?
6th Street?
Yeah.
I mean, we are pretty close. We are
Let's do
pretty- 1 out of 2.
So when you go 1 out of 2, that means the normal rules don't apply. Whoever loses that 1 out of 2 has to do it.
Which brings us to the rule. You should never dare something that you're unwilling to do yourself.
Damn.
So it's a great way to keep the game friendly
Noted.
while
Yeah.
also having fun.
Yeah.
I'm not playing.
So it's fun. I mean, you can come up with fun things like the rock,
Right.
paper, scissors,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what's the odds that you, like, say if we're in a library or something, what's the odds you get up and do the Carlton or something like that?
Oh, I love that.
People are like,
I'll dance anywhere.
People are
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know, 1 out of 7, and you're 1, 2, and on 3 you say the number. You get it right, they got to get up and do it.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
But like you have to humble yourself to be able to do it, and as soon as those walls are down and you become vulnerable, you're so much open to everything else in life.
And some people are gonna think you're super funny, and like some people be like, "Dude, what are you doing?"
I
And you're like,
honestly love
"Nah,
it.
man, I lost it. What are the odds?"
When people don't give a fuck, it just gives everyone else permission around them to just
let it go.
unabashedly
Yeah.
do
Let it
whatever
go.
the hell they want.
amount
It's
of
so important.
dance parties,
Yeah.
right? Like
Right.
that
Yeah.
you can start, or like somebody's like, "Hey, man, that was pretty cool." Like, I'll have one of those. Like, you get a fruity cocktail, right, with an umbrella drink. Like, that's your next drink, right?
I don't understand. I think it was a meme the other day. Wow, I'm quoting the interwebs. It was like, I don't understand why like fruity drinks get so much flack. It's like you're 6% beer and versus my 40% alcohol fruity
yeah,
drink. Like,
yeah.
fuck you, I'm the killer.
I'm
one.
efficient over here.
Yeah,
I'm
like,
efficient.
Yeah.
This is dope as hell.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I want to talk about the art. That's
Okay.
why we're here.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do the thing. So the first one that we have on the list is Circus Acts.
Yeah. If you go on the website, there's lengthy descriptions of each one, so you can get the background behind each piece. I did you guys a favor and just made cliff notes, so it's a lot more simple. But yeah, the first one's Circus X. And I think people, and all of them have to do with confidence and vulnerability. And I think people walk a thin line when it comes to being judged for sexual experience. Either it's not enough or it's too much. You're shamed as a slut, or you're made fun of that you're a virgin. And I think all of it is a bit ridiculous in my opinion. I personally am a huge fan of an experienced woman. One, just because the communication that usually comes with that is mutually beneficial. I want to know as much as that I want you, I want that to be reciprocated. And the more experienced woman, I found that to be the case. And Circus X is a painting of a couple in a not a common sexual position. And that only happens when people are confident enough to explore and be, experienced. And you see those things, or you're in that situation and you're wondering, how is this gonna work? I've never been here before,
Tiny legs. I don't know.
And then in my case, it could be whoever your partner is. I had girls show me in these situations, and now I know, so it like improved my craft and
So you've been practicing your handstands, huh?
exactly, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that Circus Acts comes back to all of that. Second one, do you want to announce them or you want me to just go?
You got this.
All
I
right,
got you.
bet. All right. Second one is Oh Sunny Days. It's a beautiful painting, I might add. All of them are beautiful, but I really like this one. It's about giving and receiving fellatio, head, whatever you want to call it, without expectations, So the detailed analysis is just randomly like brighten up your partner's day. Just give them some head out of nowhere. They come
Amen,
home, just randomly do it.
Wake them up with it,
You can't do it every day because then they're gonna be expecting it. But but yeah, just randomly every now and then. I feel like that's one of the most gracious things a human can do. And this is for any type of giving, to be able to give without expectations, like we were talking about earlier. So yeah, that one's called Those Sunny Days, because you can imagine like waking up or about to leave for work, and then you get some head and you go on your day like,
Oh, sunny day.
Yeah, there ain't nothing messing with you that day.
right, you're good.
I already conquered the world. What you gonna say?
Like, what?
What you got? You got problems? I don't care. My life's great.
Boss is like, why are you late? Don't worry about it. I brought donuts.
Yeah.
All right, and then the third one is called Blunt. It's actually one of the bigger ones of the series.
I love this one. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it has, it's a woman, and she has a bunch of tattoos on her that I think reflect a beautiful human being, in my opinion. I was raised by a lot of strong women, and it kind of gave me a deep respect for what women go through in the world. And I was kind of like front line on hearing how a woman really wants to be loved. My mother and my aunts, they're strong, independent, beautiful women that are flawed. They're human, you know what I mean? And they just want to be loved for that. So once you learn that to like authentically love someone or really make someone happy is loving them for who they are, you
Preach it, baby.
Exactly. You become attracted to an actual woman, which is why this is called Blunt. Like, she's blunt. She is who she is. She is art. She's unapologetically herself. That's what makes her attractive, and that's real. So yeah, that one's called Blunt. Go check that one out. One of my favorite ones. And then the fourth one is Love All of Me. And I wanted to, give a tout to real bodies and anyone that is anyone has a painting in this series that they can identify with. Hopefully, I tried to include everyone. So I tried to make this one more inclusive, and it's called Love All of Me because I have friends, I have family members, acquaintances, however you will, that are self-conscious about their bodies or what they offer. They have, their humility is kind of like overtaking them, and learning that they deserve to be loved just as much as anyone else, and they want to be loved for their imperfections. And I think it takes someone to actually love them in that scenario to give them self-confidence. It goes back to the community type of thing. And nobody wants to be partially loved. They want to be loved for who they are. So that one's called Love All of Me. And the last one is Moment in Time. So this one is kind of like those out-of-body experiences. Say you're in a situation with somebody and you stop looking at like the task at hand. You stop noticing where her hands are or where their hands are, how they're breathing, the sounds that they're making, everything. And you start to look at it as like the whole sexual experience. You're at that point in time, you have to realize you're kind of having an out-of-body experience, and you're not experiencing time like everyone else, like your partner might be experiencing time. They're thinking about what they're gonna do next, the task at hand, and you're looking out like, this is a beautiful situation. I love being here with this person. And it's like a moment in time. So that's where the fifth one is.
That's kind of you need a cigarette after.
Yeah. I prefer a blunt, but
I don't smoke cigarettes either, but like.
Exactly. So that's the 5 that we have for this week.
I love it. And all of them are just so beautiful, and it's been incredible to be able to dive into all these series. Is there anything that you want to tell anyone who is thinking of collecting this art or is on the fence about NFTs?
Yeah, especially the NFT part. The best thing and I know I quoted this last week, but take any famous painting that you can think of. Take a painting by Basquiat or that a museum might own, and then they resell for $200 million, and the family estate sees none of that money. A really cool thing about NFTs is that, say, for instance, my original art is minted on the blockchain. So when you buy that original piece of painting, you have that original code or whatever, and every time it sells for the next however long, you still get paid for that, you know? And that's one of the coolest things is that, you know, the art stays making money for the artist. It doesn't just leave. You know, a lot of times a famous artist has sold a painting for $200, and now you can go to a museum and it's like $100 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So can you imagine, you know, how that makes the artist feel? So
Most times they're dead and they're like, fuck.
right, yeah, they're looking
Anyways.
down.
They're
like-
rolling over. They're rolling over.
it's not even the artist. It's like their grandchildren or
Yeah,
something. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, my granddad painted that, but I haven't
yeah.
seen any money from
That happens to
it, you know what I
musicians
mean?
as well. So it's really putting the power back into the hand of
Exactly.
the artist, which
Exactly.
is so
100%.
important these days.
Yeah. So look into NFTs. It's the same way you can buy with Venmo or Cash App or anything like that. You can set up a Meta wallet and buy NFTs with cryptocurrency. It's there's no difference. And it actually, you know, helps the environment better. So,
Love it. We are a green podcast over here,
right.
in many ways, actually. With
The
that,
art environment. Sorry, I wasn't going into like energy or anything.
No,
Just
I got that.
the world of art.
Yes. Fig, Yosh, I just want to thank y'all for being here today as well. Anything that y'all want to add, feel called to share, all the above. Just wanted to open the floor, you know?
No, thanks for putting me in a vulnerable position today. It's nice to dive into this with you guys. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Thank you all for being
it was an
vulnerable.
absolute
Yeah,
blast.
thank you. I
It was an
appreciate
absolute
it.
blast. You know, and I think people will always like play on that teeter-totter line of like confidence, putting themselves out there. Just don't stop.
Yeah.
Go stop. Do what you think is right. Right.
You never
Chasing
stop
it.
growing as a human. Like
Right.
a human being should never stop trying to learn and be better. So you'll always have this conversation. For
Yeah.
sure.
And be willing to have the difficult conversations. Like, because those are where you grow the most as a human. No doubt.
Yeah, the times when you feel like your container's too small and you're able to expand it is really when the most growth happens. And yeah, there's never a day where you're just like, all right, that's it. I'm enlightened. We're good to go.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
like picture yourself in a room and nobody else is there, right?
Yeah.
And nobody else has plans for you through the day. What the heck would you do? And go do it. Go do it day after day after day, and you'll find more people that are doing that with you.
Thanks.
Love it. Well, thank y'all again.
Go buy some NFTs.
Do it!
Right now.
Again,
Right now.
every Wednesday, 12 p.m. He's got 2 more drops coming out. So if you missed these last 2 rounds, you still have time. And then also thanks again to Mission Labs and to Eastside Studios for supporting and making all this happen. Love you guys. See you next week.
Later.
Boom.